देश में ये लॉकडाउन 21 दिन का होगा। वर्तमान की मर्यादा है 2 गज की दूरी, मास्क है जरूरी।
Hello and a very warm welcome to this special edition of Rajya Sabha Television. In 2020, COVID-19 pandemic disrupted our lives like never before. As we welcome year 2021, let's take a look at all the policies of 2020 unveiled by the government, ensuring lives and livelihoods. The coronavirus pandemic is a world-shattering event whose far-ranging consequences we can only begin to imagine today. For a good 3 months, almost all economic activity in India came to a halt as the nationwide lockdown was imposed in the country to control the spread of the virus.
सभी देशवासियों को आदरपूर्वक नमस्कार। कोरोना संक्रमण से मुकाबला करते हुए दुनिया को अब 4 महीने से ज्यादा समय बीत गया है।
On May 12th, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced a special economic package of 20 lakh crore rupees, equivalent to 10% of India's GDP, with the aim of making the country independent against the tough competition in the global supply chain and to help in empowering the poor, laborers, migrants who have been adversely affected by COVID. The clarion call given by the Prime Minister to use these trying times to become self-reliant has been very well received to enable the resurgence of the Indian economy.
कोरोना संकट से जुड़ी जो आर्थिक घोषणाएं की थी, जो रिजर्व बैंक के फैसले थे और आज जिस आर्थिक पैकेज का ऐलान हो रहा है, उसे जोड़ दें तो ये करीब करीब 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का है। 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का है। ये पैकेज भारत की जीडीपी का करीब करीब 10% है। इन सबके जरिए देश के विभिन्न वर्गों को आर्थिक व्यवस्था की कड़ियों को 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का संबल मिलेगा, सपोर्ट मिलेगा। 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का एक पैकेज 2020 में देश की विकास यात्रा को 20 lakhs 2020 में आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान को एक नई गति देगा।
The government was quick to announce a slew of measures for the agriculture sector and rural India as the risks posed by the COVID pandemic posed new challenges for the sector. Farmers were provided institutional credit facilities at concessional rates through Kisan credit cards. This scheme covered 2.5 crore farmers with concessional credit worth 2 lakh crore rupees. A fund of 1 lakh crore rupees was created for development of agriculture, infrastructure projects at farm gate and aggregation points. An additional fund of 30,000 crore was released as emergency working capital for farmers. This fund is disbursed through NABARD and regional rural banks for meeting their crop loan requirements. This was in addition to the financial support of 90,000 crore that was provided by NABARD to meet the crop loan demand. The Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana was launched for integrated, sustainable and inclusive development of marine and inland fisheries. Under this scheme, 11,000 crore will be spent on activities in marine inland fisheries and aquaculture, and 9,000 crore will be spent for developing infrastructure. Among others, the Home Ministry and Ministry of Agriculture issued orders allowing interstate and intrastate movement of agriculture produce, agri-machineries and inputs.
The sudden imposition of lockdown mandated by the challenging situation and the fear of the rapid spread of the virus did result in unprecedented disruption and exodus of migrant workers. But several steps were taken to alleviate the distress.
इस कार्यक्रम की जो वीडियो है, उसकी संकल्पना है, वो आपको बताएंगे। तो मैं आप सबकी तरफ से यहाँ से ये स्विच दबा करके, ये उद्घाटन मैं नहीं कर रहा हूँ, आप लोग कर रहे हैं। मैं तो सिर्फ इधर छोटा सा काम यहाँ से कर रहा हूँ।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched a massive employment cum rural public works campaign named Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan to empower and provide livelihood opportunities in areas or villages witnessing large number of returning migrant workers affected by the devastating COVID-19. Migrant workers can access the public distribution system from any fair price shop in India by March 2021 under the scheme of One Nation, One Card. The scheme introduced the interstate portability of access to ration for migrant labourers. By August 2020, the scheme is estimated to cover 67 crore beneficiaries in 23 states. Migrant workers who are not beneficiaries under the National Food Security Act, ration card or state card were provided 5 kg of grains per person and 1 kg of chana per family per month for 2 months. 35,000 crore will be spent on this scheme and 8 crore migrants are estimated to benefit under it. The migrant labourer or urban poor were provided living facilities at affordable rent under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana.
ये अभियान समर्पित है हमारे श्रमिक भाई बहनों के लिए, हमारे गांवों में रहने वाले नौजवानों, बहनों, बेटियों के लिए। इनमें से ज्यादातर वो श्रमिक हैं जो लॉकडाउन के दौरान अपने घर वापस लौटे हैं। वो अपनी मेहनत और हुनर से अपने गांव के विकास के लिए कुछ करना चाहते हैं। वो जब तक अपने गांव में है, अपने गांव को आगे बढ़ाना चाहते हैं, अपने गांव को कुछ देना चाहते हैं। मेरे श्रमिक साथियों, देश आपकी भावनाओं को भी समझता है और आपकी जरूरतों को भी समझता है। आज खगड़िया से शुरू हो रहा यह गरीब कल्याण रोजगार अभियान इसी भावना, इसी जरूरत को पूरा करने का एक बहुत बड़ा माध्यम है।
The investment in public health will be increased along with the investment in grassroots health institutions of urban and rural areas. A major highlight of 2020 was National Digital Health Mission.
The National Digital Health Mission aims to develop the backbone necessary to support the integrated digital health infrastructure of the country. It will bridge the existing gap amongst different stakeholders of healthcare ecosystem through digital highways. The ambitious National Digital Health Mission, unveiled on 15th of August, find its roots in a 2018 Niti Aayog proposal to create a centralized mechanism to uniquely identify every participating user in the national health stack. In his Independence Day address from the ramparts of the Red Fort, Prime Minister said the Health ID will store every individual's medical records and mission will herald a new revolution in the national health sector.
नेशनल डिजिटल हेल्थ मिशन, उसका भी आरंभ किया जा रहा है। भारत के हेल्थ सेक्टर में ये एक नई क्रांति ले आएगा। इलाज में आने वाली परेशानियां कम करने के लिए टेक्नोलॉजी का बहुत सुविचारित रूप से उपयोग होगा। प्रत्येक भारतीय को हेल्थ आईडी दी जाएगी। ये हेल्थ आईडी प्रत्येक भारतीय के स्वास्थ्य खाते की तरह काम करेगी। आपके हर टेस्ट, हर बीमारी, आपको किस डॉक्टर के पास कौन सी दवा ली थी, उनका क्या डायग्नोसिस था, कब दी थी, आपकी रिपोर्ट क्या थी, ये सारी जानकारी इस एक हेल्थ आईडी में आपको समाहित की जाएगी।
Liquidity crunch became a real issue for many, and for loan borrowers, money shortage was becoming a major concern. In order to offer some relief to borrowers amid the unprecedented situation, the government came up with a unique relief measure in the form of loan moratorium.
The Reserve Bank of India, in an attempt to provide some relief to those struggling with liquidity, on March 27, 2020, announced a relief in the form of a moratorium on term loans for 3 months ending on May 31, 2020. However, on May 22nd, the central bank extended this moratorium further. This was the first time in Indian banking history when such a relief was announced for loan borrowers. A moratorium is an act of postponing or deferring an activity. The 6-month moratorium allowed borrowers to defer their EMI payments by a period of 6 months.
Several reforms were unveiled by the government to mitigate the impact of the pandemic on states, businesses and MSMEs.
The definition of MSMEs was changed by amending the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006. All businesses, including MSMEs, were provided with collateral-free automatic loans of up to 3 lakh crore rupees. A fund of funds with a corpus of 10,000 crore was set up for MSMEs. Payments due to MSMEs from the government and CPSCs were released within 45 days. To protect Indian MSMEs from competition from foreign companies, global tenders up to 200 crore were disallowed in government procurement tenders.
I shall now put the motion moved by Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman to vote. The question is that the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Second Amendment Bill 2020 be taken into consideration. Those in favor will please raise their hands and say aye.
The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 was amended to provide for suspension of fresh initiation of insolvency proceedings up to 1 year, depending on the pandemic situation. Also, COVID-19 related debt will be excluded from the definition of default under the code for triggering insolvency proceedings.
The government expanded the ambit of the production-linked incentive scheme to include as many as 10 more sectors, such as food processing and textiles, other than the already included mobile phones and allied equipment or pharmaceutical ingredients and medical devices. Apart from cutting down on imports, the PLI scheme also looks to capture the growing demand in the domestic market.
In order to boost domestic manufacturing and cut down on import bills, the central government in March 2020 introduced a scheme that aims to give companies incentives on incremental sales from products manufactured in domestic units. Apart from inviting foreign companies to set shop in India, the scheme also aims to encourage local companies to set up or expand existing manufacturing units. So far, the scheme has been rolled out for mobile and allied equipment as well as pharmaceutical ingredients and medical devices. These sectors are labor-intensive, and the hope is that they would create new jobs for the ballooning employable workforce of India.
If COVID disrupted our lives, situation along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh with China also became stressed. The government outlined a raft of initiatives and activities to give a push to Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan in the defence sector as well.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh unveiled the Defence Acquisition Procedure 2020, which is aligned with the government's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and giving an impetus to the Make in India initiative. Some categories like Buy Indian, indigenously developed, designed and manufactured, production agency in design and development will be exclusively reserved for Indian vendors. An FDI of more than 49% is not allowed. With a view to promote domestic and indigenous industry, the MOD notified a list of weapons or platforms banned for import.
रक्षा क्षेत्र को और अधिक सशक्त और आत्मनिर्भर बनाने के क्रम में हमने ये अच्छी तरह समझा है कि इसमें सरकारी क्षेत्र के साथ साथ निजी क्षेत्र की भागीदारी भी बहुत अधिक महत्वपूर्ण है। और जैसा कि आप सभी को मालूम है, इसके लिए हमने कई नीतिगत कदम भी उठाए हैं। सेनाओं में टेक्नोलॉजी के प्रयोग को बढ़ावा देने के लिए MOD द्वारा शुरू किया गया आईडेक्स एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम साबित हुआ है और इसके प्रति लोगों का भरोसा और विश्वास बढ़ा है।
The National Education Policy 2020 was approved by the Union Cabinet on 29 July 2020. It outlines the vision of India's new education system.
National Education Policy 2020 envisions an Indian-centric education system that contributes directly to transforming our nation sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high-quality education to all. The NEP 2020 enacts numerous changes in India's education policy. It aims to increase state expenditure on education from around 4% to 6% of the GDP as soon as possible.
मुझे भरोसा है कि जो ये हमारी शिक्षा नीति है, ज्ञान, विज्ञान, अनुसंधान, नवाचार, प्रौद्योगिकी से युक्त, संस्कारक्षम, मूल्यपरक, हर क्षेत्र में हर परिस्थिति का मुकाबला करने वाली, पूरी दुनिया के लिए भारत में ज्ञान की महाशक्ति के रूप में उभर करके आएगी।
The Union Cabinet also approved the establishment of public Wi-Fi networks across the country. These would be provided through public data offices. This central government scheme is called the Prime Minister Wi-Fi Access Network Interface, or the PM-WANI scheme.
The public network will be set up by the public data office aggregators to provide Wi-Fi service through the public data offices spread throughout the country. The move from the centre will accelerate the proliferation of broadband internet services through a public Wi-Fi network and is another step towards Digital India. An application will be developed to register users and discover the WANI-compliant Wi-Fi hotspots in the nearby area and display them within the application for accessing internet service.
Prime Minister Wi-Fi Access Network Interface, प्रधानमंत्री वाईफाई एक्सेस नेटवर्क इंटरफेस PM-WANI। ये देश में वाईफाई क्रांति की दिशा में एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण कदम है। तो सबसे पहले हम एक पब्लिक डेटा ऑफिस खोलेंगे। ये पब्लिक डेटा ऑफिस के लिए न कोई लाइसेंस है, न कोई रजिस्ट्रेशन है, न कोई फी है, जान लीजिए आप। नो लाइसेंस, नो रजिस्ट्रेशन, नो फी। ये कोई परचून की दुकान हो सकती है, ये कोई चाय की दुकान हो सकती है, ये कोई छोटा सा कोई पब्लिक ऑफिस हो सकता है।
National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre will help private players through encouraging policies through a regulatory environment that is friendly, as well as guiding private players in space activities. Indian Space Research Organisation will remain the basic body that decides what missions are to be undertaken, but this new body will help fill the gaps.
The government also announced the formation of the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre, also known as INSpace, to promote the participation of private industries in space activities, including planetary exploration and missions. Well, that's all I have for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Rajya Sabha TV.
देश में ये लॉकडाउन 21 दिन का होगा। वर्तमान की मर्यादा है 2 गज की दूरी, मास्क है जरूरी।